Hi everybody and welcome back to Borderlines and for joining me, Kevin here. Right, so today what I thought I'd talk about is the burqa and the hijab. Okay, and the reason I thought I'd speak about this is obviously earlier on in the year at Prime Minister's questions, the question came up about whether the Labour government would put a ban on it. Okay, and it's been a talking point for several years about it. So I thought, right, maybe it's time to actually address it. Should it be banned? Shouldn't it be banned? Because there are people that would say, yes, categorically it should be banned. I asked my wife a bit earlier on today what she actually thinks. And she said, because of the security risk, it should be banned. Okay. And when I started thinking about it, okay, I thought, yeah, but the problem is, and this is where I saw the fundamental problem. And I know what most people are going to say, and it's ECHR. Because under the European Convention of Human Rights, it says in there, okay, under one of the clauses, that everybody has the right to practice their religion, okay, with no discrimination from the state. So, the first fundamental question you've got to ask yourself is, if you're a Muslim, okay, because these two particular ones, and you could actually look at other types of headscarves, like for instance, that Jews wear as well, and I think there are some that Christians wear, okay, do they have to wear them? Is there anything in the Quran that says that if you're a Muslim woman, you must wear a burqa or a hijab? So, this is what it says. Okay, so this is about burqas. Yeah, it is burqas. The burqa is a garment worn by some Muslim women to cover themselves in public, including their faces. While it is often associated with Islamic modesty, the practice of wearing the burqa is not universally required in Islam. The burqa is more about cultural tradition and personal choice than a religious obligation. Some Islamic scholars consider it obligatory for women in the presence of non-related males to prevent men from looking at women inappropriately. However, this is not a requirement in Islam. The burqa is also a symbol of modesty, piety, and cultural identity for many Muslim women. It represents faith, identity, and tradition, and is worn by millions of Muslim women worldwide. So there you have it. In a nutshell, there is nothing there to say that Muslim women have to wear the burqa. It's a choice. Okay, so let's now go on to the hijab. Okay, and it says here, the hijab is a significant religious symbol in Islam, representing modesty, dignity, and a commitment to faith, as outlined in the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. In Islam, the hijab is widely regarded as an obligation for adult Muslim women based on specific verses of the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. The hijab is not merely a piece of clothing, it embodies a broader concept of modesty and respect. Key Quranic verses such as, this is where I'm going to get stuck because I ain't going to be able to pronounce these correctly. So I do apologise to anybody listening. If you get offended, okay, I do apologise. Okay, I do not know how to pronounce these correctly. So there's my apology. Sunra and 2431 and Surah Al Azab, pronounced something like that, 3359, instruct women to dress modestly and cover their bodies in the presence of non-mahram men, those whom they could lawfully marry. So, obviously, the hijab is different to the burqa at the end of the day. Okay, so that's where it is for that. So there isn't anything that actually basically really says that you have to have your body completely covered. So then you've got to take a look at, if the UK was to ban it, what would potentially happen? Now, my personal first concern was we would potentially be taken to court, specifically the ECHR. Okay, so you can't do this. It's a breach of the European Convention of Human Rights. Now, that's what I said to my wife this morning. Then I started doing a bit of research, because whenever I'm going to do a video like this, I'm going to research it. Now, I believe it was Austria. Okay. No, sorry, it wasn't Austria. It was Belgium. So I'm going to read this out to you. So, as of 2015, Belgium has specific bans on face covering dress, such as the niqab or burqa. And on the 11th of July 2017, the European Court of Human Rights upheld Belgium's ban on burqas and full face veils. Okay. And the fundamental thing is, when you actually take the burqa into account, okay, that's a full face covering. So you can argue it's a security risk. And there are Muslim countries that have actually banned it on that basis, which I will come into a bit later. I'll talk about Muslim countries. Okay, when it comes to the hijab, I haven't personally got too much of an issue with it, because you can see most of the face. You can't say it's a security risk at the end of the day. Yes, you can't see the hair. Not really. Okay, so there is that argument. You don't know what colour the hair is. So if somebody comes in and, say, for instance, they're going to do a robbery, or they're going to stab somebody or something like that, go and commit a crime, I take it into account. You don't know what colour their hair is, or if they've got any hair. Okay, they could be bald for all I know. But you can see their face. You can see their eyes. You can see the eye colour. You can be able to see if they've got any scars, state of their teeth, if they've opened their mouth, nose structure, cheek structure, chin, everything, forehead. You can see all of that pretty much. Okay, and to be honest, you can be able to see the eyebrows. So you can pretty much know what potential colour their hair are. And I shouldn't really say that, because obviously I've got black eyebrows and my hair is white or grey, whatever you want to call it at the end of the day. Okay, so from that point of view, I'll openly admit I don't have a problem with the hijab at all. Okay, now even when back in the day, so what, 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, I used to work for Texaco. Okay, now if somebody came in wearing a hijab, I wouldn't have been bothered too much. Now, the thing was, when I worked for Texaco, if somebody came in and they had a motorcycle helmet on, I was ordered to press the panic button automatically, because that could potentially be somebody that's going to do an armed robbery. You don't know. You can't see them. And that's the problem with the burqa. It's a security risk, which brings me on to the fundamental question of what countries have actually banned it. Okay, so this is quite ironic. And since 2010, quite a few countries have actually banned it. Okay, so now this information This comes from Wikipedia. Okay. Wikipedia is a left-wing organisation at the end of the day. Don't care if they don't like it. That's reality. So I'm not normally considered as left-wing, but they do have some good information on here. So in 2010, initially, France banned it. 2011, Belgium. 2015, Bulgaria, Cameroon, Chad, Congo, Gabon. 2017, Austria, China, Tajikistan. Okay. 2018, Denmark and Luxembourg. So European countries. 2019, Netherlands, Sri Lanka, and Tunisia. 2021. So in 2020, nothing happened. 2021, Switzerland. 2023, Uzbekistan. And this year, 5 countries. Okay. Only one of them a European country. So this year you've had Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Senegal, Turkmenistan, or however you pronounce that, and Portugal. Okay. So that's where it is. And this is the irony. Is what you really want to do is look at the Muslim countries. Okay. And why they're actually banning it. You know, because the reality is you'd think, oh, Muslim country would never ban it. Why would they? What reason has any Muslim country realistically got to ban? Because this is what is said, you know, by our political leaders and everything. Oh, we don't want to go there. It's a Muslim garment. It's not a Muslim garment. It's not a religious garment at the end of the day. They don't have to wear it. Okay. And if it's a security risk, which businesses up and down the country can say, okay, and this is where it brings you on. So if you take, for instance, Algeria, which is part of the Muslim world. Now, in 2018, the government passed a law banning the wear of full face veils, called burqas or niqabs, for female public servants while at work. The Prime Minister at the time, Ahmed, I can't pronounce his surname, so I'm not going to try, pushed the ban because of his belief that women should be identifiable in the workplace. So this is a Muslim country. Egypt, in 1953, so we're going back a while, going back 70 years, Egyptian leader, President Gamal Abdel Nasser, was told by the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, okay, that they wanted to enforce the wearing of the hijab, to which Nasser responded, "Sir, I know you have a daughter in college and she doesn't wear a headscarf or anything. Why don't you make her wear the headscarf so you can't make one girl, your own daughter, wear it? And yet you want me to go and make 10 million women wear it." And the veil gradually disappeared in the following decades, so much so that in 1958 an article by the United Press stated that the veil is unknown here. However, the veil has had a resurgence since the Iranian Revolution, with the global revival of Muslim piety, according to the New York Times. As of 2007, about 90% of Egyptian women currently wear a headscarf. Okay, it doesn't specify what type of headscarf. Kazakhstan, on the 1st of July 2025, Kazakhstan officially banned the burqa and the niqab. Kyrgyzstan on December 27th, 2024, Parliament specifically approved a ban on wearing a niqab, a full-face Islamic veil in public spaces. The government justified the measure by arguing that the niqab was not part of traditional Kyrgyzstan culture and claimed it was necessary to protect national identity and security. Another Muslim country complaining about security. Morocco, the headscarf is not forbidden by law and women are free to choose to wear one. The headscarf is more frequent in the northern regions, small to medium cities and rural regions, as it is not totally widespread. Wearing a hijab is considered rather a religious decision. In 2005, a school book for basic religious education was heavily criticised for picturing female children with headscarves. So even though it's not banned in Morocco, they don't exactly like it. But they have banned the manufacturing and marketing and the sale of the Afghan burqa. That's as of 2017 in Morocco. Now, Syria, Christ's sake, Syria. In 2010, Barakat, the Syrian Minister of Higher Education, announced a ban on women wearing a full face veils at universities. Tajikistan, another Muslim country, in 2017, the government of Tajikistan passed a law requiring people to stick to traditional national clothes and culture, which has been widely seen as an attempt to prevent women from wearing Islamic clothing. And it just goes on. And I think the worst one is Cameroon. And this says it to a T. Okay. On the 12th of July 2015, two female suicide bombers dressed in burqas blew themselves up in Fotokol, in the far north region, killing 13. Following the attacks, since the 16th of July, Cameroon banned the wearing of full face veils, including the burqa, in the far north. I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, of the mainly Muslim region, said the measures were to prevent further attacks. Now, I could carry on reading country after country. I've got here Chad, Gabon, Republic of Congo, and then going on to other countries. The reality is, you got a list of countries, Islamic countries, Muslim countries, that are banning it because of security or restricting it in public places. Now, where I am on it, and I know I'm going to get all the haters coming at me, is like I've already said, I've got no problem with the hijab because you can basically see somebody's face. It's a bit like with some of the Jewish snoods or scarves or whatever you want to call them. So I don't have an issue. When it comes to that, if people want to wear it at home, down to them. Don't care. It's not going to affect me. It's not going to affect my family. It's not going to affect most people. When it's out in general public, then there is a potential thing. And I'm not going to say that you would expect what's happened in Cameroon to happen in the UK. Could do. I'm not saying it will do, but it's always a possibility. Because the reality is, whether people want to face it, whether the likes of Keir Starmer, who's too gutless to face up to it at the end of the day, okay, because he's more concerned what the general public will say, is it is a security risk because you do not know what somebody looks like. So if you're wearing a burqa, you could go into a bank and go and rob it. Nobody's going to know what your face looks like. It's no different to somebody putting a balaclava on. You might as well say to everybody in the UK, you are free to walk into any bank or petrol station or anywhere with a balaclava on. But the problem is, if I walked into a bank with a balaclava on, I would be probably stopped. And I wouldn't be surprised if a panic button's pressed straight away and I'm going to be arrested pretty damn quickly. So if that's okay, I want somebody to tell me, well, I can't walk in with a balaclava on or a motorcycle helmet, but somebody can put on a burqa, which isn't actually, it is religious dress, but they don't have to wear it. They're choosing to, but that's okay, because that's just as much of a security risk as a balaclava or a crash helmet. So I want somebody to let me know, but for now, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video and you disagree with me, drop us a comment. I've got no problem people disagreeing with me or anything. And if you've enjoyed the video, please do give us a like and share. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe as well. But for now, thanks for watching, and we'll speak to you again a bit later.